Hi, my name's Bevell, and this podcast today is going to be about racial gratitude. And you may be wondering, well, what is racial gratitude? So let me explain this process a little bit. So in the recent uproar that's happening here in the United States around issues of race, which certainly I think has been a long overdue conversation, it's something where I've been really going inward and looking at the spiritual practices that I've used over the years and what can I use to really help bring racial healing both out into the world and also in my own life, because even though I consider myself a pretty evolved and a pretty open person, growing up in an environment where racism does exist, it still can sometimes get into your subconscious. It can still, I think of it like a virus. It's something that you might be an asymptomatic carrier where you're subconsciously holding on to a lot of stuff that you may not express openly out in the open world. So this is a technique that anybody can use. You don't have to be an energy healer. You don't have to have any background with deep spiritual techniques. It's just something that I call expressing racial gratitude. And it doesn't matter what race you are. It's just simply thinking outside the box of your own race and making a list of 20 things per day that you're grateful for about races other than your own. And when we look at gratitude, we also know that gratitude, the practice of gratitude, helps rewire the brain. So if we look at that process of helping to rewire the brain into a more positive way, then it's also something that by doing this practice of racial gratitude, it will also help us as individuals to rewire our collective brains to be more grateful of people who are different than us, of people who look different, people who speak different languages, and who act differently. And again, even though we may already see ourselves as being quite open, I find in the time that I've been doing this practice that it opens me in an even deeper way. So I'm going to just give a few short examples, and then I'm going to give you a little time to just write a list, ideally 20 things that you are grateful for that have to do with things that are not coming from your own race. And that's not to put your own race down in any way. It's just that when I really started to look at this process, I began to realize that I found it much easier to express gratitude for things that were coming from my own racial background. And that when I really forced myself to extend that wave of gratitude out to all cultures and all races, that it was a beautiful thing. So again, some examples just working from my own consciousness. I feel very grateful for the jazz music that's really born from the African American culture in the United States. I love Miles Davis. I love the beautiful music that has been part of the African American tradition, also how it evolved into blues and into rock. All of that wonderful music is really kind of born in African American traditions, and so I'm really grateful for that. I love all the music that's come from that. I'm also grateful for Japanese food. I love wonderful sushi. I love just the tingling sensation that happens, especially if I eat it, if I have a cold, and that hot spicy wasabi, the way it just kind of clears my nose. That's something I really love about Japanese culture. I love Bali. I love everything about Bali. If I could move to Bali, I would. I've been there a number of times, and I love the people. I love just the feeling of being there. I love the amazing mountains. Gunung Agung, the central volcano that's on the island of Bali. The Balinese people are beautiful and amazing. And again, I'm generalizing here, but I'm just telling you about my own experience in Bali was so opening to my own heart, the gratitude that I felt for everybody who touched my life when I was there. I'm also grateful to the culture of India, to the beautiful Hindu chants of the names of God. I love kirtan. I love the practice of kirtan, of singing Hare Krishna or singing to Hanuman, singing different sacred chants that are part of the Indian culture. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm also grateful for Native American culture. I grew up in New Mexico and was often exposed to the beautiful sand paintings we would see that the Navajo medicine men would make. These beautiful, amazing sand paintings every time we went to sacred rituals and sacred gatherings that would often happen in New Mexico with the many tribes there. Also have a deep appreciation there for the Zuni pottery, this beautiful black pottery tradition that exists in New Mexico there that's of the Zuni tribes. So those are just a few examples from my own personal life where I'm expressing gratitude to cultures, to races other than my own. And so what I encourage you to do is just make a practice, just try it for a week, literally writing down 20 things a day or speaking out loud 20 things a day that are expressing gratitude for cultures and races other than your own. And it might seem, on the surface, it might seem like, oh, that sounds superficial or it's silly. But really, once you begin this practice, you'll start to embrace that sense of unity of all of our races, of one human tribe, and it will really kind of get you outside the box, outside the lens of your own particular cultural focus. So give it a try. And again, if you want to know more about me and my work, my name is Brett Bevell. Again, feel free to check out my bio here on Soulvana, and also feel free to check out my website, brettbevell.com. That's BRETTBEVELL.com. Thank you and have an amazing day. Take care.